I just want you to know, I'm always here. That sentence was whispered gently, but pierced deeply through the crowd of fans who suddenly fell silent during Jin BTS's concert in Dallas. No one expected that night to be more than just a performance. It was a declaration of the heart. Song after song sung by Jin turned into emotional fragments that seemed to voice something he couldn't say directly. And when one specific song was performed with eyes that nearly welled up with tears, ARMYs could not hold back their emotions. What's going on with Jin? Amidst the glittering frenzy of an international stage, Jin BTS instead created a quiet, reflective space during one of his concerts. Without lengthy introductions, he chose to convey a message through a performance that felt deeply personal and honest. One of the most touching moments happened when he sang The Astronaut, not just as a musician, but as a human whose heart was speaking. Many assumed that the concert in Dallas was just part of a promotional tour or a routine performance after Jin's return from military service. But what happened on stage that night was far from routine. The song was delivered at a slightly slower tempo than usual, interspersed with heavy breaths and an expression that couldn't be hidden. Even the audience, usually loud and energetic, became silent witnesses to an unexpected emotional expression. The question is, what exactly was Jin trying to say? Musically speaking, The Astronaut already carried deep meaning from the moment it was released. It was an expression of love, longing, and hope from Jin to his fans. But that night, the same song transformed into something deeper, as if Jin was pleading to be heard, not just as an idol, but as a fragile person searching for understanding. Some fans noted changes in the lyrics sung that night. A line was delivered with a trembling voice, and the chorus was sung with an unusual emotional intensity. This wasn't just about vocal technique. It was about the message he wanted to convey, that ARMYs cried not because of the melody. They cried because they felt as if they were being embraced by Jin's voice, by his sorrow, wrapped in harmony. Shortly after the performance, social media was flooded with worried comments. Jin looks like he's hiding something. / there's something behind his eyes tonight. / we hear your heart, Jin. Music analysts and Korean pop culture observers called this moment the peak of Jin's emotional expression in his solo career. Even several music media outlets in South Korea highlighted that the Dallas concert marked a shift in Jin's demeanor, from someone usually full of jokes and calmness to a more serious and reflective figure. Some ARMYs even suspected a connection between Jin's emotional performance and Jungkook's absence at the end of the concert. Speculation grew. Was this about member relations? Was Jin feeling lost? Was he carrying a burden too heavy to share? In a previous interview, Jin once said, "I'm not the type of person who easily expresses feelings." And that's why the night in Dallas felt so extraordinary, because for the first time, Jin chose not to hide anything. He chose to speak through his singing. He chose to share through the undeniable tremble in his voice. That concert was no longer just a celebration of music. It became an invisible two-way communication between Jin and ARMY, between a heart wanting to be understood and ears that not only heard, but felt. There was one sentence that kept echoing among fans after the concert. "We're here for you, Jin, just like you've always been there for us." ARMY didn't just see Jin as a stage star. They saw him as a tired human, looking for a place to put down the contents of his heart. And that night, the Dallas stage became a truly raw and unfiltered emotional harbor. That moment didn't belong to Jin alone. It belonged to everyone who's ever felt unable to speak, yet hoped to be understood. The song Jin sang became a universal language of a heart longing to be heard. Now, the big question arises, will Jin continue this form of emotional communication in future concerts? Is this a sign of something bigger, a personal project, or even a musical direction change? Or is this Jin's way of signaling that he needs space for himself? One thing's for sure, Jin has opened the door to a deeper dimension of himself. He's no longer speaking only as a singer, but as a person inviting his listeners into his emotional space. To the audience watching from their screens, or those who were present in the arena, the concert was a reminder that idols are also human. That behind the spotlight and the screams of thousands, there is a heart that might be hurting, but still wants to be present for those who love him. And to all ARMYs reading this, did you feel it too? Did you also hear Jin's heart that night? If so, don't let that voice fade without meaning. Let this moment serve as a reminder that every song has a story. And sometimes, that story isn't written in words, but in tears, empty stares, and faint smiles forced to stay strong. For those who want to continue following Jin BTS's journey and other emotional moments, make sure to subscribe to this channel right now. Don't miss the latest news, exclusive discussions, and in-depth analysis right here. Because Jin's heart doesn't speak every day, but when it does, the world listens in silence. Behind the wave of tears and roaring applause at Jin BTS's concert in Dallas, one thing must be questioned more seriously. Was all this truly a pure emotional event? Or are we witnessing a narrative deliberately crafted and carefully packaged to gain sympathy and media attention? Many fans might immediately reject this question. They will say, "We saw it ourselves, we felt it. It was real." But in today's digital age, where information spreads so easily and emotional manipulation can be part of public communication strategy, we are called to be more skeptical. Was Jin truly expressing his heart spontaneously? Or was that moment part of a planned scenario aimed at strengthening his personal brand and deepening emotional ties with the fanbase? The fact that most of this emotional narrative grew from viral video snippets on TikTok, YouTube clips, and Twitter threads makes its accuracy vulnerable to bias and excessive assumptions. Not all viral content reflects objective truth. In fact, viral moments often arise from one-sided interpretations and visual edits intentionally directed toward a specific emotional perspective. So the question arises again. Are we consuming reality, or merely digesting carefully selected story fragments? Let's examine this from a performance production perspective. In a global entertainment industry like K-pop, every detail from the song sequence, lighting, facial expressions, to speech pauses is not something that happens by chance. So a sharp question arises. Was Jin's empty gaze and trembling voice truly a personal expression, or part of an artistic strategy designed to create a deep emotional impression? Such skepticism does not mean accusing Jin of faking it. Rather, it's an effort to maintain public sanity from emotional traps that can be exploited for commercial gain. Many artists around the world use personal narratives as tools to strengthen connections with audiences and build emotional loyalty. So it's not an exaggeration to ask, were the feelings we felt that night from Jin, or from our own expectations of him? One of the biggest challenges in responding to this event is the reality that the spreading information doesn't come from a single official channel, but from various narrative snippets rapidly circulating across digital platforms. TikTok, for example, shows the moment Jin falls silent before singing the chorus. YouTube presents edited videos with sad background music. Twitter is filled with fan analyses, from facial expressions to Jin's body language, judged as not like usual. So we ask again, how much truth can be preserved when the circulating data has undergone emotional curation and interpretation? In this context, we emphasize that this article is a compilation of information from various social media sources and digital communities. That means its accuracy still requires further verification. We cannot blindly accept every story presented without asking who composed it, for what purpose, and with what narrative today as viewers, as fans, and as part of a large global community. We must ask ourselves, am I moved by the truth or by a beautiful narrative? Did I cry because Jin truly felt sadness? Or did I cry because I wanted to be part of the collective euphoria happening? This kind of critique is not meant to undermine or mock fans' emotions. On the contrary, it's an invitation to become a smart public, one who can appreciate artists without losing critical thinking. Because in the entertainment world, the line between reality and fabrication is so thin, often deliberately blurred to create a dramatic space that emotionally binds the audience. So the more important question isn't just what did Jin feel, but also, what do the management and media want us to feel through that moment? In several international army community discussions, speculation emerged that Jin's emotional moment was likely designed as an empathy campaign to boost his post-military image and reaffirm his position as BTS's emotional center. This theory may sound provocative, but is it really far-fetched? Hasn't the K-pop industry repeatedly shown how powerful they are in shaping public narrative? On the other hand, many defend with, not everything can be manipulated. There are times when artists are truly honest, and we must learn to trust that. So the tug-of-war between reality and media construction continues. So we ask you, the thoughtful readers, the critical and passionate armies, do you believe Jin was truly expressing his heart that night? Are you sure that the moment wasn't consciously designed to trigger a certain psychological effect? Or do you feel that amid all possible fabrication, there remains a truth that cannot be manipulated? That Jin, as a human, simply wanted to be heard? Whatever your answer, one thing we encourage is, don't believe blindly. Trace the sources. Analyze the motives. Compare information. Question even your favorite media outlets, including this article. We ourselves admit that part of the information in this article came from social media and not from direct interviews or official agency statements. Therefore, your interpretation as a reader becomes an essential part of the truth itself. Let's make this event not just a moment of sentiment, but a collective learning experience in facing information. We can love Jin and BTS without losing our critical mind. We can cry together, yet remain alert to narrative traps. If you have a different perspective or want to share a new angle, we highly encourage you to voice it in the comment section. Let's have a mature, objective, and open discussion. Because the entertainment world will keep creating stories, but we are the ones who must decide what's worth believing. And for those of you who want to keep following deep discussions like this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Here, we don't just idolize stars. We also learn to read the reality behind the stage. Because Jin's heart did speak that night, but what we heard may only be a part of the real story.